What's up, guys? Welcome back to Rise and Grind. Happy Monday. We are Q1 is gone.
That's crazy.
Q1 is literally gone. I literally was just
wild.
on the way over here today. I was like, damn.
Oh my gosh.
That
made my stomach sink a little.
Yeah, we have like 1 week left of Q1.
That's wild.
Yeah, 1 week left of Q1.
Because time moves so quickly, and I don't think you realize it until you come to closer to a deadline, right? So
Right.
End of quarters are deadlines for a lot of different people, or
Mm-hmm.
when you need to be achieving certain goals. And now that you know time moves quickly, you also need to move quickly.
You gotta move mountains right now. You gotta move mountains right now.
You know, and this is actually a good way to start Rise and Grind. I feel like a lot of people get stuck in the planning or thought process of when it comes to their goals, right? Like, these are all of the things that I need to do instead of just moving along
Right.
and doing the actions needed to get closer to them. So don't let time catch you.
It's also like, just don't let the pursuit of perfection stop you, right, from making progress. And it's like, you got to just move. And so many people are waiting too much for perfect opportunities, the perfect time, or they're just being lazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And being lazy is not good.
No, not at all.
So let's dive in. What do we got, Meg?
All right. I saw a really cool hack over the weekend about how to A/B test your videos to make sure you're pushing the perfect video content on Instagram and YouTube. And this is video content that's going to get engagement, right? Because that's what the algorithms really care about right now. So the way to do this is take your video, and it can be this same video but different audio, or maybe it's a different hook in the beginning. TikTok is actually the only platform that doesn't penalize you for posting similar content back to back. So what you'll do is make slight differences to your videos, upload them all at once, and whichever video gets the most views, you're going to then take that one and put it on Instagram and put it on YouTube as a short. And that's the video that should get you even more reach, even more views, and of course, engagement too. So if you're not A/B testing your videos, you definitely need to start, especially because there's so many trends nowadays with audios and different ways to start your video that any of them could work, but which one works for your audience? And that's what you have to figure out.
Absolutely. And just to piggyback on that, it's like TikTok right now, the reason why TikTok is so hot for content creators and even just businesses, like, there's so many commercials right now. Obviously, TikTok is on a war path to make sure that they don't get taken down again or canceled, out of the US. And it's like, realistically, when you look at it, like, their commercials are business owners that have blown up because of TikTok's algorithms. And it's like, you guys got to leverage that. So, and the content, what TikTok taught us is, like, people want to just mindlessly scroll. So the content that you produce, that's why, again, like, even like at Adapting Social as an example, we're creating content that's more fun, more engaging, more of that, vibe than just your typical business as usual content that's educational. So we have to really adapt, all pun intended, to the fact that, like, the world is not what it used to be. Like, you don't have to be super formal, super square. People want to see good content that entertains them, right? Like, that's what works the best. So
yeah. Definitely want to be entertained. And then with TikTok, that deadline's approaching in less than 2 weeks now.
Yeah, it's coming up.
It's
again,
coming around the corner.
Coming up again.
And they're saying that Oracle is actually looking like the likely buyer of the platform.
Really?
Yeah, of course, they're not saying for sure. And Mr. Beast is still up there with the names, but they're saying that they're leaning towards Oracle. So we'll see. That deadline is coming quick.
You know what I love about that?
Bye. What?
So do you know why that's super strategic if Larry Ellison buys that?
Why would that be strategic?
Because he also owns a majority of Twitter.
Yeah. That's
So
interesting.
he was the primary person who funded the Twitter acquisition for Elon. So Elon and him are really good friends, and he texted him over a text message and said, like, hey, why don't you jump in on this, like, investment for me to buy Twitter? And in a nutshell, he's like, how much do you need? And he's like, well, how much you want to give? And he said, like, I'll do like 100 million or 500 million, whatever you need.
No big deal.
And then Elon told him, well, you should do closer to 2 billion. And he did it. And this is all done over a text message. And,
what?
And so, by the way, so obviously if Larry winds up buying TikTok now, that means that Elon's going to have ties to it too, backdoor.
Which is interesting because his name was originally in the mix way back when they were looking for buyers. And he wanted X to be the platform that does all. And
Right.
the only thing that it doesn't have is short form video content right now,
Mhm.
like TikTok, where you
Right.
mindlessly scroll. So
Right.
that's really interesting.
So we'll see. I mean, again, like it would be really strategic and be pretty crazy, but at the end of the day, it's one of those things where it's like, you know, if this guy, it's just such a crazy thing. Like, I couldn't imagine like being in that position where you started a company and like somebody's taking it away from you if you don't do X, right? Like, so like obviously we know why they're doing it, and I kind of in a way agree with why they're doing it, but I'm just thinking of like myself, like if somebody was like, hey, you either sell adapting social or it's gone, I'd be like, damn, that's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, because
But-
of course you don't want to see it be gone completely,
No,
right?
Right. Well, out
So
of the
it's
US
like-
at least, yeah.
Yeah, out
Yeah.
of the US. So
Yeah. But the US is like the biggest and the best pop culture market. So we'll see.
yeah.
We
Yeah,
shall see what
it'll
happens
be
next.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things changing over the next few weeks. There's also a really big algorithm update coming on search.
Mhm.
And they're saying that some websites might not fully recover from it, which is,
Oof.
yeah, there's kind of this looming feeling with the algorithm change approaching. But what we are seeing is that search traffic as a whole has been evolving,
Mm.
whereas we're not seeing as many consumers go on Google, search something, and then click over to a website.
Mhm.
The main reason being that we have these generative AI responses that give us the answer to what we were searching for in the first place, right?
Right.
So on when we're looking at metrics, we're seeing that click-through rate is
Mhm.
decreasing, but impressions are skyrocketing. And for the clients that we're working with whose impressions are skyrocketing, we started to dive into that a little bit more. And they're the ones who are showing up in those generative AI responses. So
Mhm.
that's really the goal nowadays, is to make sure that you're getting that spotlight.
Right.
Not so much that you're looking for people to navigate over to your website, especially if they're in that awareness curious stage, they're just doing their research. You really want to make sure that your click-through rate is strong for someone who's searching specifically for your services or your
Mhm.
products. But if it's any of the awareness stage related search terms, you want to make sure you're in those AI responses.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And I mean, I've seen it myself a ton of times. Like, and we know, obviously, as a marketing agency, we know that like that's where the world is going. So it's just so important that people are ready for that. And also, like again, like I said to you in previous Rise and Grinds, like there's so many times where I will literally like use ChatGPT as my search engine.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'll just ask it questions. I'll like, and also side note, speaking of that, like the level of stuff you can do. I'm gonna parlay this into one of the topics that I had, but like, so I went to the doctor recently. I went and got blood work done. So I saw this prompt that said that that ChatGPT can technically be like a doctor for you. So you upload your blood work and it gives you like the response and like tells you as if like a doctor would. So like it would say, oh, you have high levels of this, you have high levels of that, whatever else, blah, blah. And literally gives you a program based on that.
Oh my gosh. Did you try it?
Yeah. Yeah. And so I tried it and literally it's just insane what it did. But back to that whole point is like for legal matters and for health matters and for a lot of these things, like generative AI has become so like crazy, right? Because that's
Such a resource,
when
right?
when you really think about it, what was the point of going to a doctor's office, right? Because that doctor knew things that you didn't know, and obviously they're going to prescribe you medication, right? But typically those people get paid a lot of money because they have information that you don't have. So when I think about that, it's like really interesting because now it's like these professions of like being an attorney, right? And like other things, like they like actually are almost making it like not relevant for unless it's like a huge case or a huge thing. Because like I had somebody send me over a document for an NDA for a company we were looking to buy. And I read the NDA and I was like, do I send this to my attorney or do I send this to my ChatGPT attorney? And
John,
so
always send it to the attorney.
so I sent it. So what I did was I sent it to both. So I sent it to my attorney and I obviously uploaded it to ChatGPT. And I was like, give me feedback and what are my liabilities and exposures on this document? Be really aggressive about it. And then my attorney knows I'm nuts. So I'm like, he already knows that. So I sent it to him. And they pretty much lined up with the same
Wow, that's awesome.
same concerns, the same responses, the same red lines and all that stuff.
Interesting.
So I was like, okay, so for I could save X dollars. Sorry, attorney, but I could save X dollars now every time I want to ask a question about something that's like, pretty basic, right? If
Yeah.
somebody's like, hey, screw you, like I'm going to sue you, that's different. I'm not going to ChatGPT.
No.
But if it's
No,
like,
no,
hey, I
no.
want you to sign an NDA, or like, I
Reviewing
like,
documents.
review a document, like what do you
Yeah.
like you could all, and also this is the thing, when you call an attorney or if you're asking a doctor, right? So I obviously brought like the blood labs were like requested by my doctor.
Mm.
So he already had them.
Mhm.
What I liked about it was I came into that doctor's appointment with a lot of context. So where you always go to doctor's appointments and you're just like waiting for them to tell you something.
Mhm.
And you're like, oh shit, like, nervous. What is he gonna say to me? Like I went into it, like I knew every single thing about my panel and all the concerns that were on it. And I looked up all these different components. So when I was having a conversation with him, which was so crazy, like this guy is a holistic doctor, but he's been practicing for 30 years.
Mhm.
And he was like, I can't believe how much you know. And I'm like, dude, I don't know shit. I'm like, I literally just ChatGPT'd it, and then I printed it, and then I started like, writing notes and stuff. So, but I came ready, what I mean? So like, that's the thing.
Yeah.
And to even further my topic and parlaying it into another topic, guys, one of the things I just want to say, like, obviously as career professionals or business owners, there are so many times that like our health is not like paramount. Like we always like look past things. There are so many times where we find ourselves in positions where we're like, hey, like I want to upgrade my car or put a new cool thing on my, my house, or, there are so many freaking times where people are trying to take care of things that don't fucking actually matter. And our health is the number one thing that matters.
Mhm.
And for me, which is crazy, is like I have been the healthiest that I've been in probably almost a decade.
I was just saying that last night. I'm like, I think I've been more active this year than I
Yeah.
have in like the past 10 years.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Because
Right. Well, we're getting
we
older
need
and stuff.
yeah.
Besides Megan. Megan never gets older. But literally, we're getting older. Megan's still 25 since I met her. But literally, it's like your health is everything, right? And so when I went, I was under the impression like I'm going to be super, super healthy. Now my blood came back pretty good, right? But at the end of the day, it's like there were certain things that I didn't have before.
Yeah.
That I was like, what the F? Like I've lost a lot of weight. I'm eating way healthier. Like I've changed lifestyle habits. There's a lot of things I've done differently. And I still have some markers, right? And so my only point in bringing that up is outside of taking care of your health, which is super important, there's also the thing that most people do, which I was doing, which is you're supplementing because other people, and you see people doing it. The example I'll give you is when I was growing up, I would see people in the gym who were jacked. And I'm like, oh my God, what's that guy taking? And I would go ask the guy, what are you taking? And he would give me, oh, I'm taking this, proteins, this, whatever. And I would just go take it because I'm like, look, he looks great. I want that. And we do that today in a lot of different ways. You see influencers taking these products, influencers taking these supplements. And it's crazy how much they actually affect you. And so I've been taking certain, like for instance, I'll give you an example. Like my vitamin D was super high. And he was like, you need to stop taking vitamin D. Most people have vitamin D deficiencies. You are overdoing vitamin D.
Yeah, that's not
good. Right. And I was like, oh shit. Like I was taking this like crazy vitamin D pill because I saw that Gary Brecka was like, yo, most people are vitamin D deficient. So like take vitamin D pill. So I took it. My vitamin D was skyrocketing. And he was like, stop taking that immediately.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? I know there was no reason why I was taking it besides the fact that I saw him say. So my point though is like a lot of us are taking supplements that you don't need to be freaking taking. And outside of that, for people who aren't even taking supplements, who aren't even taking care of themselves, go take care of your damn self. Because again, all you have is your health. And I heard this saying from one of our clients that was like, once you have a health problem, you could have 1,000 problems in business and personal life and family. But once you have a health problem, you have one problem now. And everything goes away. And that's the most important thing, obviously. So, at the end of the day, and I also was listening, when I was working out this morning, I was listening to this podcast, and this dude was like asking this guy, like, what do you feel about death? Like he was asking him about death and like his feelings about it and like what his thoughts are around it. I'm going to botch the shit out of this, so I'm not going to go into it. But essentially what really like was interesting is he was this like, I forget like his title. He's like this guy from India who's like, not like a Buddhist, but he's like really, really Zen dude. I forget I'm going to find it. We're going to find it. We're going to post it somewhere. But at the end of the day, he was like, death, he goes, between life and death, he's like, which one is certain?
Between life and death.
Right. So only one is certain. He's like, so why are you worried about something that's certain? And again, this dude's like super zened out, like, you know, he's on his Emily game, like yoga it out, right? Like this dude's definitely doing hot yoga somewhere in the world. I don't know where he's doing it, but he's doing it somewhere now. But anyway, it's like at the end of the day, it's like when you start to think about that, like when you think about all the comfortable things in your life, it's typically the certain things. Like right now, you know, Megan, the second we're done filming here, like clockwork, she's out of here.
I sure am.
Megan loves working from home. She's out, right? And that's most of our team, right? But it's like at the end of the day, there's comfort in knowing when you get home, things are going to be there.
Mhm.
Your home is going to be what it is. It's certain, right?
Yeah.
And so he said that he has that level of certainty with that. So that's the one thing that like I think that I'm trying to kind of change up a little bit,
Mm.
right? It's like the thought of that, because obviously it makes you perform differently when you
Yeah.
think about that stuff. So he's like, instead of you being out there in the world worrying about, oh, if I do this or I'm gonna die, whatever. Like it's like focus on, you know, really understanding one thing that again, like yes, everybody's gonna die, but you know, use that as a motivator to live a better life,
Mm.
right? And like that's what he said it way better.
Well, I've been seeing videos on this a lot of you can either be 80 years old and, you know, in a bed and completely immobile, or you can be 80 years old and have your complete mobility and be
Right.
really active. And the only difference between those two people is how active they were leading up to that point and how they
True.
took care of their bodies leading up to that point.
True.
So it's
Well-
like if you don't want to rob yourself of an experience later on in life, get up and move now and take care of yourself now. And there aren't any problems that matter other than your health, like you
Yeah.
were saying. So,
Right. You perform better. It's like our life experience is
Mhm.
like through the lens of either like a healthy temple or
Yeah.
one that we're just dragging on by. But also my bisavó, which in Portuguese means great grandma. So she's 99 years old right now. And like
That's incredible.
yeah,
to
and
be
right now
99.
she's going through some health things. She's in the hospital right now. But we were thinking about it, it's like, you know, she's lived such a long life,
Mhm.
right? And God willing, she's going to stay around longer. But it's like when you think about that, like she like took care of herself. So
How cool is that to see 100 years of life?
yeah, right.
Oh my gosh.
insane?
Times were so different in 1925,
Yeah,
26, whenever she was born.
yeah, insane, right?
My gosh, that's incredible.
Yeah,
She
she's
must have so much
she's a
knowledge,
January.
so
She's a
many
Jan-
stories.
yeah,
She's in January.
yeah. But so what would that mean?
I think she's
25 then, or 26? This is 2025. So yeah,
2026.
1925
26. She's 99. She just turned 99.
in January.
Yeah, 26.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, that is
Crazy.
crazy. That's some really cool times to live in, honestly, though.
Yeah.
What a drastic change from 1920. The technology alone.
Well, that
Think about
that,
that.
blows my freaking mind. When you think
Oh
about
my
like just the invention of phones and technology, like to be able to see that stuff, like so insane.
Yeah.
When even though my grandma Joni, aka Joni Pepperoni, she literally is like, I think she's like 35 or
I
something.
was gonna say she's.
I don't know her
she's
exact
definitely
I don't know her
under
exact
50.
age, but I remember I'll never forget the first time we got her like an actual iPhone, and she was like on Facebook, and she commented on something, and I was like, what the literal F? Like my grandma, and now it's so regular for everybody's grandparents.
Yeah.
I remember the
it
first
is.
time my dad sent me a text message, and I was like, what the I'm like, Dad's on the phone texting, and my dad's like a Neanderthal. My
Oh.
dad is legitimately, I think my dad is a Neanderthal.
Oh my gosh, it is crazy. Yeah.
But he literally is that. So but anyway, that goes back to one thing, right?
Mhm.
We have a lot of conversations about how Gen Z owns the market, right? Which they technically do. But don't forget, boomers are hardcore and Gen Xers are hardcore, like on social. Like our parents are heavy online, obviously. Boomers, heavy online. Like
yeah.
they are all online. You can't find a demographic now that's not
No.
adapted.
Stuck on. I think just stuck online, like our
Yeah.
parents' generations.
Do you know so
Stuck.
Facebook? I don't know the connection here, but Facebook has like a words with friends thing, like a connection. So you play words with friends,
Yeah.
like with your friends on Facebook, and I play it with my grandma from time to time.
Oh, that's sweet.
And literally, it's to the point where I'll come over. Like this morning, I was late because I dropped Johnny off,
Mhm.
and and I walked in and
You were playing
She's
words
like-
with friends. That's why you were late.
no, because I dropped Johnny off. But I walked in and my grandma was like, "Why didn't you like make the next move?"
Oh,
She's like, "You're taking too long."
aw.
I'm like, Grandma, I got a lot of shit going on,
Aw.
man. I'm like, I'm gonna get
She's
to it. Though.
waiting all day for you.
She's like,
to,
she's
yeah.
like, she does it with all of her grandchildren. They're all doing it.
That's
with her.
really sweet.
But anyway, so the point is like when you're marketing and you're building a brand, don't ever think for 1 second that just because you market to an older community that you can't reach them. Again, boomers, Gen Xers, a lot of people are heavy on Facebook, especially.
Definitely
They're
Facebook.
definitely online. They're definitely
Mhm.
looking at their grandkids and their families. So just know that, and don't ever think for 1 second that they're not. It's like, oh, they're not on this, or TikTok is just for young kids. Like everybody's on these platforms now. They want to see stuff. They're curious, and everybody's doing it.
Yep.
So what else we got? That's all we got.
I think that's all we got.
That's
yeah.
all we got. Up.
Mhm.
Megan's ankle bracelet is lighting up right now. She gotta get home.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, my dad's in town.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. So I am going home, but
I love
to
Mr.
say
Connor.
bye to him before he goes,
I love Mr.
he's going to
Connor.
be in, he's traveling quite a bit over the next few weeks. So
He's like
stay with
James
me
Bond, that
over
guy.
the weekend. He is.
Yeah.
He really is. Yeah. He's flying all over, traveling all over. So
Good pool player.
yeah.
He is. Good pool
Yeah.
player.
So I'm going to go say bye to him before he leaves.
All right. Well, that's Megan's excuse to dip out quick as hell.
Yeah. Well,
Just kidding. But tell him I said
gotta-
hi, please.
the older I get, the more I value my time with
You should.
my parents, right?
I just
Especially
had
like,
this conversation with my sister.
yeah.
Yeah. It's like, well, especially because your father doesn't live locally.
Right. Yeah. He lives, hours and states away. So I don't see him all the time. So when
It's
I
good
do,
that it's good that
it's
you
like gold.
do. Yeah, it's good that you do see him though a couple times a year though.
Yeah.
Because like, well, would you say a couple times a year, a couple times a month?
He comes
Probably
down-
quarterly. Probably quarterly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes in the summer, I feel like he comes down more often.
Right,
He's
right.
like a lot to do here in
Yeah,
the summer.
Right. He's like,
but-
this is beach. I want to see Megan. I want to see the beach.
He wants-
I want to go play golf. I want to see Megan. I'm just kidding. But no, that's a good point. I'm gonna end on that. Let's end on that note. At the end of the day, like I say this to my team all the time. I say this to people that I work with all the time. It's like, again, our lives, most people, unless you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth and a golden up your ass, at the end of the day, you have to work most of your life. Like we all have to work. We have to get up, go to work, like
Yep.
put our work boots on, get after it, support our family, do what we like to do for Lucky. And at the end of the day, it's like if you can find a situation that has that harmony where you're enjoying what you're doing, you're working, and you have that both, but also that you get to do those things like be with your family or see
Mhm.
your dad or whatever else. Like that's the important stuff.
Yeah.
That's why it's so important to align yourself with the right organization and what you're doing. So with that said, guys, happy Monday. I hope you crush your week, aka the last week, business week in
Yeah.
Q1. Do something about it.
Crazy.
See you next Monday.